Hey everybody, welcome back to another review. Hope you guys been enjoying the content on the channel as of late, and of course, I hope you guys are enjoying the new setup. Hopefully the mic is working well. I could bring it in a little bit closer. Maybe you guys can hear me better. Um, but we're going to be doing another review today. This one being The Unknown Country. Which was directed by, as I look it up real quick here, Marissa Maltz in her feature debut, I believe. Yes, in her feature debut. Starring and written by Lily Gladstone, who you guys will be seeing soon in the upcoming Martin Scorsese film, Killers of the Flower Moon. Tells a story of a woman played by, of course, Lily Gladstone, and she's grieving over the loss of her grandmother, and she takes a road trip of sorts and visits old friends and strangers along the way, and through all this, she is trying to find some level of peace, some level of clarity, and some means of moving forward from such a place. And ultimately, that's what the movie is about at its core. You know, it's about people, where they end up and how they got there and where they plan on going. It's very cut and dry. It's very, to the point sort of thing. And the most notable thing about The Unknown Country is that it's a piece of docudrama, meaning that it blends factual and fictional elements together, that through like pieces of interviews that are, I assume, of real people and real situations, with Lily Gladstone's character, with the fictional like elements, to create some sort of narrative. So and that blending of elements, as somebody who has attempted to do a piece of docudrama, I can tell you that, at least from my experience, a docudrama is a closeted documentary, meaning that it's pretty much wanting to be a documentary, but it wants to use these other elements as a means of representing a certain mindset or a certain theme potentially. And for this, I could see where they're going for, because the craftsmanship is unique. I mean, there is an authentic edge to it. There's also I think a representative, I think it's very representative of the mindset of this protagonist, which is that of like a scattershot and anxious like figure. But I can't help but think that it's also very busy, because the interviews that come up, it just feels like it's padding, because it feels like it was originally meant to be a film proper, a narratively driven type thing, and then they started throwing in these interviews, and at some point it just morphs into a documentary, and at that point I just felt tuned out because I felt as the movie was introduced, I thought we were going to be focusing on Lily Gladstone's character, and her purpose in the film is to kind of remind you that there is fictional elements at play, and it's not a fundamental or developed, character. It's more or less a tool in creating this like unique like approach. It's a rarity, seeing docudramas, and it's admirable, seeing them trying to blend these elements together. But I just don't think it works that well, because it undermines the fiction that it's wishing to utilize. It's like more or less the narrative is a secondary element to what really wishes to be a documentary. Like ultimately, it really wants to be a documentary, and that's kind of just how the building of a docudrama is. You start off with the intention of being in the presence of both forms of storytelling, but then you ultimately lean on one, and ultimately it's that of a documentary. Because once we get back to Lily Gladstone's character, I don't really care as much, you know. Um, and all the stories that they utilize and like in the interviews, they're all, you know, spouting the same sentiment. You know, life is mysterious. Oh, this and this and that. Like, it's not creating more depth for the character. It's just, you know, it's just rattling off the same thing that we've established. It's like, yes, we understand that people have their own ways of going through life. It's like that's something that has been established. We need more of that than that, though. I need to know more about the character. I need to know more about her motivations. Why is she doing the things that she is doing? You know, like just saying that she's grieving is one thing, but I want to know more emotionally, psychologically. Why does she need to go to Texas? Like that's something that I didn't really get much of in the movie. Um, and I feel like it should have played much slower. Like it's because the way that it's paced, it feels like at times it gets at times difficult to place what time frame we're in. Like I feel like at some points we go to the past, I think, or we're completely in the present. I'm not entirely sure. Um, you know, so it is get a little off-putted, a little, um, a little hard to navigate. Um, but more importantly, I just don't think it's trusting of its own drama. Like, I don't think that it believes that its own drama is that impactful, and I think that it is. I think that if you had committed to focusing on Lily Gladstone's character, which is what I believe the movie believes it's centralizing itself on, but it's not. It's more about the strangers, these interviews, and all these other stuff. That's what the movie's more interested in. And then towards the end, it goes, "Oh yeah, crap, yeah, this is also there's also fiction here. So let's have Lily shoot a few scenes with a couple strangers and have these strangers conveniently know things that she wants to know. You know, um, in order to push that story forward. You know, um, so." Um, when you see just purely Lily Gladstone stuff, I mean, she's good in the film. I mean, I like her presence, you know, but um, and you know, with that and just visually, also I think is visually impressive, and you know, all the you know, minus the the craftsmanship, you know, which is unique but frustrating. I think that there's a tone there that's comforting. I think that it's also greatly composed. Um, like there are elements there that are good, and I think that if you were to focus more on Lily Gladstone's character, I think that you would have something more impactful. Because as it stands, like it just feels like you're throwing these real stories in with the hopes to deliver more resonance. It just because it just feels tacked on. You know, it feels like originally there was it was meant to be a story at first, and then it morphed into, you know, into this docudrama of sorts, and then at the end, it, in terms of the mentality that it possesses, it just feels like it wants to be a documentary so much more than a narrative. Um, so, and like I said, that's kind of how the cookie crumbles, to use a certain line from a certain movie. Um, it ultimately boils down to a documentary at the end of the day. Um, so, you know, it has the optics of a documentarian. It has the style of a filmmaker, but and less so of its substance in general. Um, you know, and obviously it's trying to be, you know, to some respects like Nomadland. You know, it's trying to have that type of quality to it. In some respects, it owes a debt to Nomadland, because Nomadland also utilizes real people to its within its story. But I think that Nomadland, I wasn't big on Nomadland, but I think that at least there they found they were still focusing squarely on Frances McDormand and the fictional elements, and just using real life elements to enhance the fiction. Whereas this, it's the other way around, where it wants to be all about the facts and less so of its fiction, even though it's set up to be a fictional, like, premise, you know, even though it's set up to be a piece of fiction. So, um, I mean, just to say, by the way, if you want the best version of Nomadland, well, check out a film called A Love Song. That film is just really, really good. Really, really good. That's what Nomadland wanted to be. And what I think this film also, in some respects, wants to be. Um, but, but yeah, I think that the craftsmanship, I think it's unique. I love that it's doing something that you don't see often. Docudramas, that sort of blend it's rare to find. So I admire the attempt. I think that technically speaking, there's also things to love. I love the look of the film. I think the film looks gorgeous. I think that the music is great. I love the tone. I like Lily Gladstone in the film. Like, despite how little she has to do what little she does in the film, I liked her presence. So it has those elements there, But the problem with the movie is that it doesn't trust in itself. It doesn't trust that the drama that it's presenting is enough. So it has to throw in these other elements, and then ultimately just wants to be that sort of thing in the end, because it establishes an authentic, it establishes the authenticity within the fictional elements, with Lily Gladstone's character, within showing us that mindset that she's in. Like, it feels real, like that scattershot type of way that the editing plays. Like, yeah, I felt that. And I wish that there was more of that versus doing what it does eventually, which is just bringing in these factual elements and just leaning on those more than anything else, and getting away from Lily Gladstone as a result. Because Lily Gladstone is a supporting character in the movie. She's not the main character. You might start off with her, but you're not following her. You're following total strangers. So, so it has the elements, but it just doesn't believe in itself ultimately. And you get a film that doesn't really have consistent energy, a consistent flow, a real focus, or a real following of the narrative itself. Like, it goes from her going to the hotel to then the movie going, okay, stop, let's just do a documentary, to then eventually going, you know what? Nah, let's go back, And like, there is a good 30 minutes in there where I was interested because it was about Lily Gladstone, And then there's a whole other portion of this that I kind of was finding myself less and less interested in, because it doesn't blend well, As I said, I like the attempt, but ultimately it should have just stuck with what I believe it originally was, which was something narrative based and not that of a documentary. So, because it really should have been a documentary at the end of the day, like just seeing how the movie how it's flowing, and ultimately how it's representing itself, and what mentality it chooses basically at the end of the day. It doesn't, try to stay within two worlds. It ultimately favors, the more of the documentary thing elements rather than the fictional elements. Like, it really should have just been a documentary at the end of the day. But what you get is something interesting in concept, but in execution, more frustrating and disappointing than enthralling and and bold and impressive. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on The Unknown Country. I thought it was fine. It's like I said, admirable is probably the best word for it, because I like that it's trying to do something that is kind of a rare thing, to see, with blending those two elements together. So, but you guys let me know your thoughts on The Unknown Country. If you guys have seen it, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And that's going to be it for me, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, I will catch you guys in the next video. Sorry, I was just trying to get in focus. So, Thank you guys for tuning in, and until then, I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye.